Hi, this is Elise Adams with another episode of the Excuse Busters show. Maybe you saw my announcement earlier last week, but I'm moving the Excuse Busters show from an everyday on my commute sort of snippets of my Excuse Busters to a full-length television production. Okay, amateur television production here in my little house in the desert near Tucson, Arizona. Every week. My goal is to be with you on Sunday mornings. Probably will post it sometime later on Sundays, so we can catch up on what's happening at the LiseyAdams.com website, as well as what's going on in the Adams family journey. Many of you have probably read a little bit on my website about our goal of getting off all of government assistance and really building a legacy, a new legacy for our children, differently than we were raised. That's really what we're all about here. I've come from a past just filled with chaos and drama, including homelessness and abuse, and it's my goal to be my best every single day. And I've found in talking to so many of you that that's your goal as well, and hopefully, as I inspire and just share our foibles and struggles, that you will be inspired to take some big steps in your life as well. So one big thing that's happened on the website this week, I'm super excited about this, is the Lisey Adams Cut the Crap CRAP quiz. What I've done is just compiled some of those those marks between drama and chaos and calm, peaceful progress, which is where our family has come now. And I've written a really short, simple, but in-depth quiz. What I've been hearing back from you is that you have just been able to take this quiz and sort of draw a line in the sand of where you are today. Sort of celebrate your victories, point out some weaknesses, and find out where those wobbly spots are. You know, I love the picture of the three-legged stool, right? Because if any of those legs isn't strong, that stool falls over. And none of us want that. And all of us have been through that. You know, all the chaos and drama of my history has certainly taught me that unless I shore up all the areas of my life, any one of them is liable to just tip the whole thing over, and suddenly I'm experiencing way more chaos than I ever wanted to. So this quiz covers things like finances, money, the tough stuff, right? Our time, our attention, in a really fun new perspective. And I just invite you to stop by LiseyAdams.com and sign up for my quiz. You'll get instant access through your email, and I look forward to talking with you about those spots in your life that may be just a little too chaotic for where you want to go. My goal is to provide you with tools to get from chaos to calm with this Cut the Crap quiz. It's a great place to start, anyway. Another thing that I want to talk to you about, forgive me, I need to look over my notes here. You know, I'm really sharing from my heart on the website these days. There have been so many times in my life that I believe that I've been the recipient of divine intervention. Straight up miracles. And, you know, when I'm struggling and in those dark areas, sometimes it's hard to remember those miracles. And I know this is true for you as well. So on Miracle Mondays, what I love to share on the blog are just a snippet into those different times in my life when I believe I have met God face to face. You know, there's a lot of talk out there right now in the world, both the religious world and the secular world, about staying spiritual and not calling God by his real name, and I just can't do that because for me, my experience of Jesus Christ has been very, very personal. It has transcended and crossed over my journey from various churches to various churches until I found a home in Orthodoxy. Eastern Orthodoxy, and right now we attend the Holy Resurrection Parish here in Tucson. It is so precious to me to be able to worship in a way that I believe wholeheartedly is authentic and real and as close to the original as we can possibly get here on earth. But what I share on my blog isn't theology. It's not religion. What I share on my blog is my experience of Christ. And what I shared this week, I'm going to try something out, and I hope you'll bear with me, because one of the feedbacks that I've been given over the years is that it's sometimes really moving and touching to hear what I write and not just to read what I write. I know it touches me. One of the ways I practice my writing craft is to listen to it out loud. So I'd like to read you last Monday's miracle post. It's entitled, "The Day I Met My Angel." The other day I was discouraged. Life seems so full of to-dos these days, and it seems I just can't catch a break sometimes. There's a lot of special satisfaction in the tiredness that comes from honest work, but I'm still truly tired. It was late the other night when I finally sat down for a few moments, and the heaviness of all that we are trying to do just came over me. How will I get through this? Will this season ever end? That was when I remembered the day I met my angel. Back then, I was a more obvious mess. I wasn't even 18 years old yet, and I was battling such horrendous depression and fear that I was mostly paralyzed. I'd spent that summer hiding in a friend's basement. After trying unsuccessfully to pull me out of it on his own, my fiancé had gone off for his summer fishing season in Alaska, leaving me with my sister in California. Yes, quick side note, I did get married for the first time at not yet 18 years old. That's a story in and of itself for another day. Back then, I was convinced that I was invisible, so you can imagine how shocked I was when my older sisters came to me one day asking if I'd like some help. My sisters were willing to send me to a treatment center that would help me recover and heal, they said. It was surreal, and I felt completely numb as my older sister drove me out to rural Arizona to the Meadows Treatment Center. I was so suppressed and depressed that I didn't even find it funny when the nurses and doctors couldn't figure out why I was there at first. Soon, though, I was diving in, tackling the abuse I had suffered as a kid head on. Within a few weeks, I was a completely different person, well on my way to growing up, until family week. My fiancé drove down from the Pacific Northwest, and one of my sisters came, but I quickly dove back into darkness. Confronting real life, along with family members and all that came with those relationships, was just too much for me. I remember running in a blind panic back into the residential area at the Meadows, literally crashing into a tall, white-clothed male nurse as I tried invisibly to push through the nurse's station. I'd run through that nurse's station several times a day for weeks, and no one had ever stopped me before. He gently held me by the shoulders with his hands, and all I could see was his chest in front of my eyes fuzzy with tears. Then he asked me, "Are you okay?" I think I sort of shook my head. Lost my place. He said, "Come, talk with me for a minute." Strangely, this didn't frighten me at all. I let him lead me back into a tiny office, and he asked me what had happened. Now I had a real problem. I was afraid to tell him. It would sound crazy, I thought. He'll never believe me. But then I argued with myself, what do I have to lose? So I told him what had happened. I was walking along, talking with my sister, and I ran into a cloud. A heavy black cloud, I told him. It was like something dark and evil, and I can't get away from it now. He didn't blink or gasp. He didn't call the psychiatrist or pull out my chart. Instead, he looked at me gently. Quietly, he asked me, "Do you believe in Jesus Christ?" Now that was a very strange question for this place. There were lots of spiritual people at the Meadows, but I hadn't met anyone who openly spoke of Jesus. No one had mocked my faith, but it hadn't really come up much either. They bussed a few of us out to church one weekend, but what happened in church didn't really seem to connect with the catharsis of healing that I'd been going through while at the treatment center. But here was someone I'd never seen before, asking me directly about Christ. I almost didn't reply, I was so surprised. "Yes, I do," I finally said. Then he asked me something even more startling. Did you know that the blood of Jesus Christ protects you from all darkness? All you have to do is ask for his protection and you are safe. Evil is real, but Jesus' blood is stronger than any darkness. You don't have to be afraid. I was weeping by this point. Someone else knew this was real? Not only was this battle real, and not invisible as I'd been afraid of for so long, but there was help in the name of my friend Jesus. Really? I still wasn't sure he was telling me the truth. But then he asked, would you like me to pray with you? Then he led me through a very simple prayer, asking Jesus' blood to cover me and free me from all darkness. I was speechless. I walked away from that moment unsure that it had even happened, but the darkness was instantly gone. The cloud had lifted completely off of me, and I slept the sweetest, calmest, purest sleep that night. The next day, before breakfast, I ran to the nurse's station and asked one of them where the male nurse had gone. The night before, I'd walked out without even saying thank you, and I wanted to let him know that the darkness was truly gone, that he had changed my life. But everyone I asked hadn't seen him. In fact, they assured me no male nurse was on the shift the night before. That's when I knew that I'd met my angel in the flesh. And to this day, I know I met my angel, and he pointed me directly to Christ. I pray that whether you needed a reminder of something you already knew, or whether it's new information to you, that the blood of Jesus Christ protects us from all evil. That full safety is just a breath of a prayer away. That you will be inspired and encouraged today. All right, switching gears just a little bit. In our full-length, first episode of our full-length Excuse Busters show, I want to talk about a pretty big project that I'm working on. This week we had a great discussion on Facebook. A bunch of you contributed when I asked the question, what habits keep you poor? What habits have kept you poor in the past? What habits are you trying to break? And out of that discussion and after some prayer and meditation on my part, I'm putting together a book that I'm calling 7 Habits That Keep Us Poor. Yesterday I had the incredible blessing of driving out to a retreat center, a desert prayer retreat center. I'm mishmashing the name right now, but I'll put a link up on my Facebook page. The silence and the safety of an area where I can just go and write was really amazing. And out of that experience, this just outpouring of all of the sort of the web of connections in my own life and my history and my family's life, the legacy of poverty that my husband and I are just breaking out of right now is coming crystal clear to me. I just wanted to mention that I'm working on that project. I look forward to your feedback and your ongoing stories about this project. It's a discussion that I think must be had right now. It's certainly incredibly true in my own life when it comes to excuse busting. Because I'm discovering in more and more clarity all the excuses that I have to break down on a daily basis to continue to break through this legacy of poverty that I was given. And it's not anyone's fault. The reason I really want to focus on a legacy of poverty and then break out of it as I'm breaking out of it is because I want to know the different messages that I need to give my children. It's not enough. So far in my life, I have never found it to be enough just to work harder. More money never solved my entrapment in poverty. More money when I was homeless didn't make me not homeless. More money when I was on welfare for the past 5 or 6 years did not stop me from being on welfare. And I'll go into this in much more detail in the book. But my contention is that more money does not solve the problem. Not when my habits are what is keeping me poor. And a lot of that goes back to belief. The other featured article that I wrote this week was on that first habit, that number one habit. And I'll give you just a little tidbit about it, and I'd love for you to go read it and then tell me what you think. The number one habit has to do with making choices out of fear. What I love about identifying this excuse is that when I feel myself afraid now, so I've got an income coming in right now, right? You've read the story. My husband and I are not on any government assistance anymore. Not for health care, not for rental assistance, not for food in our fridge. We are paying our own bills for the first time in our entire lives. Just think about that. For me, it is so monumental. You know, I cried in the middle of Starbucks when I got my first paycheck. It's still just, you know, I've experienced so much healing in my life, so much victory, but this financial piece was just kicking my rear end for years until now. And the excuse bust that I have to keep doing in my own mind, the battle I have to keep fighting back in my own mind, is about making these choices out of fear. Because when I make choices out of fear, I don't make rational choices. And that's where we come to the fresh, new insight that I want to bring you in today's Excuse Busters show. The excuse that I'm busting today comes in two parts. So the first one is progress, not perfection. Progress matters. Even when I'm not at $150,000 a year, where I'd like to instantaneously leap over the Grand Canyon and be tomorrow, progress so matters. What I'm going to put up on the website this week, so I hope you'll stay tuned, I'm going to put up a ticker because I want to look at the numbers of where I've come from. Last year, my husband and I, just last year, so the taxes we just filed, made less than $20,000 for the entire year. This year, we will have doubled it. Very, very simply. It's not rocket science. It literally was so many mindset things, getting over so many excuses to the point where we each got a job. Seems really simple, right? But if it's that simple, why didn't we do it before? That's what I'm tackling in my book. But this week I want to put up on the website those before and after numbers because I want to show you, and I want you to do this with me. I want you to join me in making before and after numbers. Progress, not perfection, counts. Because every baby step that we step forward steps up to another baby step. Even when we circle back around and make the mistake again and indulge in the habit and fall back away and surge forward again, because you know what? The next time we make the same mistake, we make the same and better recovery from that mistake. Progress, not perfection. It all counts. And, not but, it's still insanity to do the same thing expecting different results. It still is. I can't tell you the number of years where my husband and I counted on our poor people's tax return to boost us out of poverty. You know, we saved emergencies for then, we counted on using that money for advancing a business, or we counted on that money for fixing our car. You know, we sort of had this relationship with windfalls where we were expecting either a family member, some creative debt, yes, like anyone say school loans? All right, we counted on those tax returns or those windfalls, and what happened was we did that over and over and over again. You know, Dave Ramsey, in his podcast, which I listen to every single week because I need a lot of input on straightening out these problems, what he talks about is stupid tax. You know, and I've got a lot of stupid tax to pay. What I didn't understand for the longest time was that I could have skipped a lot of those stupid tax payments if I had just insisted on not doing the same thing, expecting different results. If you don't like the results you get, the only way to change the outcome is to change the behavior. I know, really obvious, right? But that's why I'm here. I'm here to bust through some of those excuses that we use that keep us stuck. All right, it is such a pleasure to come to you each week from here on out with the Lisi Adams Excuse Busters show. It is my privilege to share the victories and share the struggles that we are going through with you. One of the reasons that I do this, the payoffs for me, is that it keeps me accountable. I don't want to continue doing those silly, stupid tax mistakes that keep me stuck in old places. I can be content knowing that my God is taking me to big places one step at a time, when I also know there are steps I can take to stay accountable, to stay in step with the pace that He wants me to grow at. Patience does not come easy to me. I'm sure I'm not alone. But if I can just not make the same mistake more than 2 or 3 times, if I can learn some of those habit-breaking, excuse-busting lessons as they come up, we've got this. And the same goes for you. If you feel like you're stuck at some spot, if you look at me, one of the excuses that comes up so many times about me, people look at me and they go, how do you do all that? There are just some excuses that I've learned to bust apart in my life, and you can too. Here's to another week of excuse-busting victories. Please visit me at the Lisi Adams Facebook page, The Lisi Adams. If you haven't found me yet, you can visit me on my Facebook profile, and there's a really easy link right there on my homepage. And LisiAdams.com is my home on the internet. Don't forget to join me for the Cut the CRAP quiz. This is Lisi Adams encouraging you to be blessed this week.